Hi, I'm Darlene, and welcome back to Super at 60. Welcome to my home, and welcome to my kitchen. Today, it's all about beef. Yes, finally, we get to say the B word, beef. And the reason I say that is because beef is so darn expensive that nobody can even afford a Yankee pot roast or a Sunday roast dinner. Or, goodness sakes, we can't even afford like a roast beef or anything like that, yet alone ground beef. Ground beef is just going up and up and up. And this comes to no shock to anyone out there, obviously. But one of the ways that I found to combat that a little bit is to go to different grocery stores. I don't like to do it. You all know I am an Aldi girl and just have been for so long. Excuse me, I rarely go to other grocery stores unless out of necessity. Well, now is the time for necessity. And so I went to Food Line the other day, and very often, I'll start out down at the meat department because that's usually my main reason for going there, is to find different cuts of meat that Aldi doesn't have. And sometimes I'll find something called a manager special, and I have this little piece of meat here. And you'll see the regular price up here if you can see that. I'm sorry. It's $8.99 a pound, which is crazy, ridiculous crazy. And so the manager special has it marked down to about $6, a little bit more than $6. And it's a pound. It's a pound. And it is beef sirloin strip steak. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to grab that. I'm going to see how much I can possibly squeeze out of that beef to give me that beef taste that I am indeed looking for. So today, it is a beef-friendly budget crock pot stew. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my beef here that I got on sale. Let's open it up, and I'm just curious to see how it's cut up. How many different pieces or whatever. Of course, always check the expiration date to make sure that your meat is good. And mine still had about 3 days left to go on it. So I was good with that. And I have 3 little pieces here. And yeah, I could easily put these 3 little pieces right out on the grill, and they would be, they'd be delicious. But I want to try and stretch this beef. So I think what I'll do, I have my wee little crock pot out over here. I don't even know how many quarts that is, but it's pretty tiny. And I'm going to take a little piece of my beef here, and I'm just going to cube it up. Kind of small. I'm not even cooking it first. I'm just going to take it just like this and throw it into the crock pot. And I'm going to cut up small pieces. The reason I'm cutting small pieces is because I want to stretch it as far as I can. And it is just my husband and I, so it might be a little bit easier. But keep this in mind as well. We are going to only eat about, half of this. So it was $6.30 for the entire package. So half of that is what, $3.15. So for $3.15, we're going to have a really good meal, and I'm going to bulk it up. But that's what you can do too. Even if you have a larger family, you would use all of this meat and just bulk up with whatever you can. Use a lot of canned veggies if you don't have fresh vegetables. That's the kind of stuff you want to be, the kind of way you want to be thinking right now. Don't be afraid of canned veggies. If you want to rinse them off, if you're worried about sodium, you can try rinsing them off, but usually by the time they're packed for a good amount of time, that sodium is going to be in there anyway. But that's kind of a thing that you're going to have to decide yourself is how bad is the sodium levels for you. I have a little piece of onion here that's left over from a dish that I made earlier in the week. And please save all these little bits and scraps, pieces. Just put them in a little baggie. Do the best you can with keeping them airtight. And throw them down in your freezer if you don't think you're going to be using it right away. But don't throw it out, because if nothing else, yes, this adds bulk, but it's going to add wonderful flavor too. And I have a whole half of green pepper. I'm going to use this too and just chop it right up. Now, like I've told you guys a million times, we are not really onion people, but because I do use a little bit of onion sometimes, for flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna throw this out, so I am gonna go ahead and flavor up the meat with it. We'll just suck it up for now and eat that darn little piece of onion. It's not gonna kill us. But if you don't have the onion, use onion powder. If you don't have garlic, use garlic powder. And if you don't have either of those, try to find some other condiments that will add flavor. I took out a few things out of my refrigerator that I already had open that I am planning to use today. Here's some barbecue sauce, adds nice flavor. A can of diced tomatoes or stewed tomatoes would work, adds nice flavor. Here's some bouillon cube, adds nice flavor. Some Worcestershire sauce. Always remember, again, though I've told you this before, shake it up really well because look at the bottom there. You want to make sure that you get every bit. It settles terribly. So each time you use it, you have to shake it up and you'll get the full benefit there. And your canned veggies. I do happen to have some baby carrots, so I'm going to use those up today before they go bad, before I go into my canned carrots. And I'm probably going to I may throw in a can of green beans as well. I do have canned potatoes, but I'm going to hold on to those canned potatoes for a while. And I'm not going to be putting any potatoes in this crock pot right now. I'm going to save the potato version of my stew for what I'm going to serve it on top of. And I'm just going to simply make some boxed mashed potatoes. Yeah, because I have them and I'm going to use them. All right, so let me go ahead and clean up a little bit of this and put this fresh meat away. And then I'll bring it over to my crock pot and we'll put all this yummy, delicious meal together. All right, so that meat is looking real good in the crock pot, and the onion and the green peppers, it already smells divine. I have it on low. This little crock pot that I have, you can either put it on low or high. So it's gonna be on low for right now. But what a stew needs, or a beef stew, I guess you could call this, we need a sauce. We need some kind of a delicious creamy sauce. And that's what I'm gonna do right now. If you wanna take this further and make it go even further, put it in a larger crock pot and add a little bit more liquid, a beef broth or a beef stock or bouillon, more bouillon would be just fine, and make it into a beef soup, which would be absolutely delicious. And I was tempted, and you know what? I just may do that with the other half of the beef on down the road sometime. At least I have it. So if you see a fairly decent price on beef, like a pot roast or your lesser cuts, they're still gonna be your less expensive, even though they're crazy expensive. Think to yourself, like I would say to myself, right at the meat cabinet, right out loud, I would say, Darlene, now you're not gonna sit and eat a $25 pot roast at one sitting, unless your whole family is over. But I can take that $25 pot roast, come home and cube that whole sucker up and make tons of meals for my husband and I. Then it becomes a little bit more of a value. All right, I have a bunch of things scattered around me here that I'm gonna go ahead and be picking and choosing from. The first thing I'm gonna start with is a can of cream of mushroom soup. I love creamy stews, and I think they go particularly nice over mashed potatoes. So yeah, so we'll put that right in here, just like this. And I like a little fresh garlic. If you have it, use it. If not, go ahead and use that garlic powder. All right, I am gonna go ahead and unwrap one of these tiny, tiny little beef bouillons. Now, I'm only using one today because I'm using my small crock pot. It's just really a meal for two tonight. So many times over the last several months, I've had so many of you ask for if I could do more meals for two. So I'm thinking there's a lot of empty nesters out there, perhaps. All right, and here's a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. You add what you like. I happen to like it, so there's about 2 tablespoons maybe. And don't forget barbecue sauce. It just adds a nice twang. You don't have to put in too much, okay? That's about another 2 tablespoons, maybe 3. 4 if you like. It's up to you. And then the one thing that I am going to open up here is a can of diced onions, and these are in basil, garlic, and oregano. Those flavorings are in this can. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up real quick, and that's going to all of a sudden make this stew a little bit more liquidy, which is perfectly fine. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I got it open. No worries. You know, I'm just about as real as it gets here on YouTube land. If something's going to go wrong when I have the camera on, then yeah, it's going to go wrong. All right, so I'm going to put that in there just like that. And I am, because of that, now that's going to help dissolve that bouillon cube in there. But to help it just a wee bit more, I do have a little bit of leftover red wine, which is perfect for beef. So I'm going to pour in about 1/4 cup, swish through my can here, and pour that in. Oh my goodness, you'll smell that flavor of the wine, that yeastiness of the wine so quickly. It will be fantastic. If you still want this a little bit more liquidy, go ahead and fill up about half of that can. Boy, does that smell good. You know what? I think I'm going to put a little bit garlic powder in here as well. I like garlic powder, or garlic granules. I like garlic. I actually prefer the granules to the powder. All right, anything else? I'm scouting everything, and I'm just making sure. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. You'll come back and check those salt and pepper levels a little bit later. All right, that looks like a wonderful, wonderful sauce, and it smells so yummy. All right, I'm gonna take it back over to my little crock pot, and we'll finish up our meal. All right, here's my meat and whatnot, just kind of cooking away here. It's gonna take a while, and I'm gonna go ahead and put in my sauce now that I just made. Doesn't that look incredible? So rich and beautiful. And I will keep an eye on it as hours pass, just to make sure it's not too thick. And like I said before, you can thin it up with a little bit of water. Okay, so just mix that up. Make sure you get that meat and everything. Bring it all up from the bottom. Oh boy, this is gonna be so good. You know what? It is so easy to create your own meals. You don't even need a cookbook. I mean, maybe to just kind of guide you through a little bit, but like I have said to you guys so many times, and it is no surprise, I have a hard time sticking to a recipe. I really do. At some point, I end up adding my own kind of thing here and there. I do have this bag of orange carrots. Yes, I prefer orange carrots over the green ones. That's a joke. And just in case you thought I thought there were green carrots out there. And who knows, maybe there are. I don't know. Those purple ones, right? I'm just going to toss them right in here. Oh, that wine. I knew that would be the first smell I'd get. And that is the smell of beef stew. Even the color is beautiful. Very, very nice. All right, so the only thing you have to do now is just let this cook and set and smell good for the next couple hours. Give a good check on it every once in a while. I'm going to go ahead and put my top on nice and snug. And I'm going to leave it on low. And probably in about an hour or so, I may crank it up to high. I want to see a little bit of bubble happening here and there, just to make sure that everything is steamy, steamy, hot, and that beef is fully cooked. And then I'll bring it back and I'll show you how I'm going to finish off this absolutely delicious, delicious beef budget-friendly meal. All right, while my beef stew is cooking up in the crock pot, I decided one more thing that I'd like to kind of put with our dinner tonight are some biscuits. So I'm going to go ahead and whip up some biscuits here, some yummy, yummy, flaky biscuits. It's just a biscuit mix with a little bit of, I guess I'm going to be using the rest of my whipping cream here, my heavy cream, and a little bit of buttermilk that I have left over. And they're going to be absolutely delicious. And this is going to be a really fantastic, low cost. I even hesitate to say budget because, yes, it's budget friendly. It's good on the dollar, but it doesn't taste like anything budget-y. If you hear the word budget, you might be worried about lack of flavor. Well, I don't think there's going to be any worry about lack of flavor in this dish tonight. In fact, I think this is something you could serve to your most special company walking through your front door. All right, here is my cast iron skillet that I like to put my biscuits in, and I just finished up putting a little bit of coconut oil around the bottom of it so nothing will stick. In my bowl here, I have 3 1/4 cups of a biscuit mix, and I'm going to add about a cup and a quarter of buttermilk, and well, what I have here. So we'll start with the buttermilk, and we'll see. Boy, that smells good. We'll see what I have left of it there. So there's that's about 3/4 of a cup of what I have left of that, and I'll fill up the rest of it here with this delicious heavy cream. I have it in the fridge. I needed to use it up because I was afraid it was just going to go bad if I waited too much longer. And since I have the biscuit mix and everything, I'll just go ahead and pour the rest of that in there. And I think we're good to go, and I think I had just enough. If these come out a little bit too watery, I'll just add a little bit more mix to them and they'll be fine. Okay, take my little mixer here. I'm going to put these in a 400-degree oven. This is just a little tiny bit of what was left in the bottom of both the heavy cream and the buttermilk. And it's just going to give a nice golden top on them. Might as well use it. Beautiful. They look absolutely wonderful. I'm just now ready to throw these into the oven. Our budget beef stew is all done. It has just been stewing away in that crock pot all afternoon. The house smells intoxicating. It's absolutely wonderful. It's that smell I have been missing, that smell of beef. That smell of beef is so, so good. Oh my goodness, let me just let you take a quick peek right here. It's hard to hold this up. I want to hold it up so you can get a really good look at it. Look at that. That beautiful broth is so rich and so, so gorgeous. How can I do it? There you go. Oh, look at that. The beef just falls apart. I mean, you can cut it up with your spoon. It's so good. It is absolutely bubbling, boiling hot right now. So I will refrain from a bite, but I can tell you so much. I wish I could just like throw some of the steam and some of the smell this way right through the camera because it's so good. It is absolutely delicious. My husband loves it. I knew that he would. This is his kind of dish. And I have to say that I think this is going to last us maybe 2 nights. Yeah, it's kind of surprising. Excuse me. Now, I decided against doing the mashed potatoes with this because I did make the biscuits, and I just didn't think that we needed both the carbs of the biscuit and of the potatoes, so you don't need that. If I wanted to, I could probably have opened a can of whole potatoes, canned potatoes, and maybe cut just a few of those up and scattered them in here, but I didn't. It is just as delicious this way. And I'll tell you a little secret: Worcestershire sauce, and the other one is that barbecue sauce. Never forget when you're working with beef, just even as much as a tablespoon of a really good quality barbecue sauce can go a long way. And you don't even get that barbecue flavor like you put barbecue sauce in there. It's a different kind of flavor that adds a real depth to your beef. It is absolutely delicious. It's generally something I put in just about every beef dish I make. Outside of throwing something on the grill or something, or a sloppy joe, or something with ground beef. But something like this with good quality beef like we use today, a little bit of barbecue sauce, just a little bit. Don't go too heavy on it. Don't do that. Okay, so beef. Beef is no longer the star of the show. It is now the sidekick. Yes, and you can do it, and you can buy that bigger piece of meat. It's a little bit costly, but like we said, the way you prepare it, the way you cut it up, don't use it as the focal point any longer. It doesn't have to be. It's good, and it will flavor everything you cook it with, but get yourself some side things to throw in there. And speaking of those side things, like the canned vegetables and stuff like that, if you do have a sodium issue, and many people do, so many people do, a lot of canned vegetables do have added sodium in them. So I know a lot of people kind of steer away from that or are very careful with it. And you might want to, and I'm sure you know how to take care of you. You do you, right? The frozen vegetables are the way to go in that instance. I think some frozen baby sweet corn, I would have put that in here had I had some. I don't think I have any. I have to go check my freezer. Veggies. I'm low on them, so I might have to get some of those. But just saying that right now, that sounds really good. So I think I better go write that down. I better go quick before I forget. So anyway, thank you for joining me today. Oh, and one last thing I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you that biscuit. Look at that biscuit. It just is absolutely fantastic. It is so delicious and flaky and beautiful and buttery. Yeah, it's a delicious biscuit. It's a wonderful biscuit mix. Formula L is called. I've used it for years. It's wonderful. It was on sale this week at the Food Lion, so I bought 2 3.4 ounce bags of it. And if you have a Food Lion near you and you like Formula L and you want a really good price, because it was a really good price, I probably should have bought another one, but I thought somebody else will need it, so let them have it too. All right, well, thank you again so much for joining me today in my kitchen. I really had a wonderful time. It's a Friday afternoon here, and I just enjoyed myself relaxing and coming up with a new recipe in the Super 60 kitchen. Bye now. I'll see you soon. Lord bless.